Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
From the Big Apple to the Windy City to Seatown and the Motor City, tens of millions are under the threat of a heat wave that's expected to send thermometers soaring.
Yeah, this heat wave has prompted the National Weather Service to issue a heat advisory for Saturday afternoon until Sunday morning. That will then change to an extreme heat watch that lasts until Tuesday night. All right, so our 4-1 weather team has been hard at work tracking this heat wave. We'll touch base with Brian in just a few minutes.
But first, we want to shed light on a trend that we see when the weather gets hot. Crime typically spikes when temperatures soar. Erica Erickson is breaking down interesting data from federal law enforcement. And Erica, the DOJ says violent crimes see some of the biggest spikes.
That's right. And it's not just the heat. It's what comes along with it. And that includes a whole lot of that. We're going to hit like upper 90s.
I know.
And this week we already had that.
I know. And I'm concerned about that, especially with the fireworks coming.
It's a dangerous trend retired Detroit Assistant Police Chief Steve Dolan sees every year. When temperatures increase, so do tempers and some violent crimes.
You've got firearms, alcohol, longer days. When it's 16 below out, no one's outside.
In 1 week, Monroe County rocked with 2 presumed murder-suicides.
We are heartbroken as a community, as a district.
Another in Detroit 3 days ago, a man shooting his girlfriend, then turning the gun on himself.
I'll put her family in my prayers.
According to the Department of Justice, intimate partner violence increases by 12% in the summer months compared to other seasons. They also see increases in violent crimes, aggravated assaults, and property crimes and thefts.
When you're outside, more chance for road rage. More people are out drinking. They're hot. Not everyone has air conditioning, especially in marginalized communities.
Domestic violence advocates at First Step agree, adding that school is out, more families are together, and financial pressures can intensify, and say abusers often use moments of heightened stress to justify their actions. But abuse is always a choice.
Everyone needs to take a breath and say, it's not that bad. It could be worse. Let's take a breath and walk away and come back and let's talk.
Now, the folks at First Step want to remind anyone witnessing or experiencing domestic violence, there are resources available and you can reach out 24/7. We have some of those resources at clickondetroit.com. Reporting live, Erica Erickson, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Erica.
Now, you'll likely be cranking up that AC as the heat picks up. However, there's some other things that you'll want to do to your home to make sure you're not wasting any of your money. J. Scott Smith spoke with an expert who has some methods to help keep the temps down and keep you and your loved ones safe. Hey there, Jay.
Well, good evening, everybody, and we are live here in downtown Detroit. And coming up, of course, this weekend, the first major heat wave of the year is set to roll in. But the thing is, the whole key is trying to stay cool, and that specifically also is talking about seniors, small children, and of course, our pets. Now, going into this first heat wave of the year, you want to make sure you're spending time inside with the air conditioning, if that's available. If you don't have that, you could do such things as take a cool shower or a bath, and make sure that you're wearing light clothing as well to make sure that you're staying hydrated too. Make sure you drink plenty of water, even if you don't feel thirsty at the time. Plus, you want to make sure you limit any strenuous activities, especially during the hottest parts of the day. Now, Sean Skelly, who's the training chief at the Canton Fire Department, says you also need to watch out for the signs of heat stroke.
Our at-risk population, our elderly, our kids, stuff like that, that's the group that really needs to be kept an eye on. If they start seeing any symptoms in them, they want to bring them inside, start cooling them off. If they start getting hot, flushed skin, any type of confusion, nausea, vomiting, headaches, anything like that, bring them inside, cool them off, get them some fluids, sports drinks, water.
Now, also, you want to look out for your pets in this heat as well. Make sure that your pups have access to plenty of fresh and cool water. Make sure you limit their outdoor activities to, having them do their business. You also never want to leave a pet unattended in a hot car. That also goes for babies and small children as well. And you want to also, in dogs and cats, look for the signs of heat stroke. That includes excessive panting, drooling, lethargy, vomiting, or an unsteady walk. If you spot any of these signs, make sure you get them to a vet immediately. Now, as the forewarned weather team has said repeatedly over the last couple of days, you need to be careful because this will be the hottest stretch of weather throughout the year. So make sure that you stay inside and you're staying safe, and most importantly, that you stay cool. We're live in downtown Detroit. I'm Jay Scott Smith for Local 4. All
right, some good things to consider there. I know we have some extra tips and advice over on clickondetroit.com. Thanks, Jay.
Well, it is going to be so hot over the next few days, you may just want to jump into Lake Belleville. But when we say this heat will be dangerous, we do mean it.
Yeah, forewarned meteorologist Brian Sherman has been working really hard over in the Weather Center. Brian, now people really should stay indoors if they can, huh?
That's going to be the bottom line to this, Damon and Priya. Starting tomorrow, now all the way through the middle of next week on Wednesday, we have declared a forewarned weather alert because of how dangerous the heat and humidity is going to be. Our air temperature is well into the 90s. And once you factor in that humidity, our heat index values will go from the upper 90s to lower 100s for at least 3 to 4 days. Now, with that, the National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory for all of southeastern Michigan from 2 p.m. Saturday until 8 p.m. or I should say 8 a.m. on Sunday. Then we switch it over to an extreme heat watch from 8 a.m. Sunday all the way until 8 p.m. on Tuesday night, as we've got 3 to at least 4 days of these 90 to 100 degree temperatures heading our way. Exact Track 40 radar, a clean sweep for the moment across southeastern Michigan, but we may see a few storms through this evening and then again as you're waking up with us early tomorrow morning. 75 degrees here in Detroit, but once you factor in that south-southeast wind at about 5 miles an hour, what it feels like outside is into the upper 70s, and you're going to need plenty of water. Our frontal boundary moves in. That keeps us on the active side of things for about 12 more hours before the heat really kicks in. So tonight, we're into the 70s for most of the night, 60s by early tomorrow morning. Much more on the heat in your full forewarned forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Brian. Moving to a developing story on Detroit's west side. 5 people are recovering, including a child, after a car struck a DFD EMS rig at Greenfield and McNichols. We're told the driver blew through a red light before striking the EMS. There were 2 employees and 1 patient inside at the time. 1 adult and 1 child were in the other vehicle. Thankfully, everyone is expected to be okay.
The man who allegedly opened fire on 2 police officers in Southgate is now facing 2 counts of felony assault. 20-year-old Jeremiah Kemp was arrested after a 4-hour-long search. Police say he shot those 2 officers in the leg after they responded to reports of an argument and a man waving a gun around. The 2 officers were released from the hospital and are recovering at home right now.
Leaders in one Oakland County community are defending their decision to raise property taxes to close a $600,000 budget gap, a shortfall that only came to light this year.
Yeah, you know, on Tuesday, the Holly Village Council approved a special assessment millage to help fill that hole. Will Jones joins us live right now. So, Will, officials there say this tax hike was the best option they had on the table, huh?
Damon and Priya, the Village Council had 3 public meetings to look over the budget, look for places to cut expenses, and the Village Council says the budget was already pretty lean, so they had the difficult decision to raise taxes.
It's a big deal.
As a homeowner and business owner, Dana Julian could be hit twice by the special assessment millage approved by the Holly Village Council this week. She's worried that her building owner may have to raise rent.
I've only been open 2 years and 3 months, and I'm not operating in a profit yet. And if my bills increase that much, I may not be able to afford to stay open.
Facing a $600,000 budget shortfall, village officials argue they had no other choice but to approve the $4 million assessment in order to submit a balanced budget to the state today, which is required by law.
It was either we had to cut a lot of police department and a lot of the fire department, or go for a state takeover of us, or we had to raise the millage rate.
Nobody likes to have their taxes raised, but in this case, we had to have police and fire protection. I do think they need to go to work on what happens from here.
I don't like it because it's too hard, especially as you get older.
Councilmember Daniel Wendell says the millage will cost him an additional $350.
Trust me, I'm on a fixed income. I understand. I know a lot of my residents are on fixed incomes.
Village President April Brandon telling Local 4 in a statement, "We didn't create this problem. We inherited a hidden deficit, though we don't believe it was intentional. None of us knew about it until this year." The village will reassess the millage next year. Property owners are hoping that this is a one-time fix, not a long-term solution to balance the village's budget. We are live. Wolf Jones, Local 4.
Yeah, you can certainly see why some of those residents are so frustrated. Okay, thank you so much, Will.
A nearly 150-year-old bridge in Ann Arbor Township is closed indefinitely after a major structural failure. Now, the Maple Road Bridge over the Huron River was shut down after a boater spotted damage to a critical steel cable, part of the bridge's post-tensioning system. That cable snapped, raising serious safety concerns. There's no timeline for repairs right now, and officials say the bridge will stay closed until it's safe. Drivers will need to take an alternate route.
For centuries, the voices of enslaved people were left out of history. Well, now a team at Michigan State University is changing that. The enslavedorg project is creating a vast online archive that tells individual stories, not just statistics, of those who lived through slavery. The free site features thousands of records from birth to death notices, even runaway ads. Federal funding for the project was terminated in February, so it's now entirely supported by private donations.